So now, I mean, I'll admit I didn't see or I didn't hear the actual show. Um, I saw from the Squared Circle Reddit page. Said on this week's masterclass, both Mark Henry, and in parentheses it says who I find it particularly disturbing from as he now works with AEW's young talent, and Bully Ray go on a lengthy rant in which they defend the actions of people like JBL and Bully himself taking advantage of other wrestlers in the ring, / beating them up for perceived lack of respect and other such bullshit. It really has to almost be heard to be believed. At one point, Bully even boasts about slapping one of the members of La Resistance as hard as he could across the face backstage after the wrestler complained about how rough Bully was in the ring with him and that he was green and not used to it. Henry went on to say that any wrestler who goes to an agent or the office about abuse is, quote, weak and, quote, doesn't deserve to be in the business, and goes on to call today's wrestlers, quote, soft ass entertainers, and that the business won't ever get back to the glory days or whatever until that kind of behavior comes back. Man, like, so when I saw that post, and again, I don't listen to Busted Open. I will see clips that their account posts on Twitter sometimes. And you know, if there's any posts that get brought attention to. I'm not, I mean, we've heard stories of JBL being just a relentless prick. It doesn't surprise me, this sort of action with like Bully Ray. Or at least it personally didn't surprise me. I don't know about anybody else. Mark Henry saying that, like, that disappointed me because I've always perceived Mark Henry to like be like one of the good guys. You know, to me, like, there's really just no defending those actions. It's one thing to be like, look, back then these sort of things happened. But you know, hindsight, you shouldn't have done it. Has no place in the business now. Like, you can't change things that are done. But like, you can look back on things and be like, no, that wasn't good. And it sounds like this is the complete opposite. It sounds like not only are they like reminiscing fondly about those actions, they are also like wishing that behavior came back to wrestling locker rooms. Like that just sucks to me. That's not good to me at all. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't know who wants to go next because I can't see anybody moving.
I will go.
Go ahead.
Well, I had my hand up, but that's fine.
Oh, you did? I didn't see it.
I didn't. Jim didn't either.
You're right.
Yeah, Jim didn't see it.
I'm surprised, Big Jim, that you feel this way. Because what is happening in wrestling is the same thing that happened in football and basketball and baseball and every other major sport that has changed over time.
Mm-hmm.
Football, now the rules protect the quarterback and defenders can't hit anybody anymore, and you can't even check a wide receiver on the line anymore. It's a soft game and can't do any of that. Basketball, too much finesse, too much emphasis on the 3-point line. There's no big men that can dominate the game in the low post. Baseball, the advent or the boom of like pitchers by platoon and relievers and an emphasis on the home run ball more than anything else. Like, it's the same thing happening now. The older generation swearing up and down that the way they did it is the way that it needs to be done. But people who make more money than them, who will continue to make more money than them state otherwise. And not to like coin a phrase of my shirt, but it's evolve or perish. If you get stuck doing the same things over and over again, much like the product, like we already complained that the product on screen is the same as it's been year after year after year after year. Then you give me the backstage stuff too, that it's the same year and year and year and year and year.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't fly for me, Chief.
So before Ryan and Mark react, why is it surprising that I feel, because like to me,
It's
like
more surprising that like you're surprised by their thoughts.
Oh, got it. I was like, because I'm definitely like,
not that you agree with them. No.
Okay, I was gonna say, because like when you like bringing up the comparisons to like,
I mean, when we get off the air, Jim will send us a harassing message and threaten to hit us with a stick.
He says some very hurtful things.
That's why we no longer
Very
all get
hurtful.
together to podcast. My back couldn't handle the lashings.
Right. Because like I mean, because that when you made the comparison to other sports, I'm like, I'm pro like making football safer and making hockey safer and things like and making sports safer. Like sports and even wrestling can only be the actual sport or in-ring performance can only be so safe, but like you don't like beat up somebody because they brought up the fact you were being unsafe or you were taking liberties or whatever. Like if you have an issue, like you go to the people in charge. Like that's the way a business should work. Like, you know, if you have an issue with somebody harassing you or bullying you or what have you, you go to somebody who's in charge and it gets taken care of. Like it shouldn't be taken care of in the ring or in the back or any of those sort of things. Ryan.
Tim, I just to your point, I think you ended very strong. You ended, I think, where all of us are going to end on the show. My problem with you likening it to sports is every example you gave me were like in the field of play, in the game of the sport, where we're not talking about athleticism, speed, moves in the ring. We're talking about somebody giving up a home run and then getting hazed for it in the back. Off stage, off screen, behind the curtain. We've all been there. That's, I think, the behavior that needs to change. And I think you're absolutely right. Folks that are going to outlive, out-earn, outwork these wrestlers of yesteryear are going to do so because today's product, while faster and looks more aggressive, ultimately is safer. And if an old timer, and I'm going to put that in quotes, wants to call it soft or weak ass or anything like that, that's their prerogative, and they can be wrong about that.
Right.
I am 37 years old, probably too old to still be really enjoying pro wrestling the way that I do. Neither here nor there. On Facebook, we all have social media on Facebook, so you can go back and look at your memories. There are times when I will go into my memories 10, 12 years ago on a post and be like, wow, I can't believe I posted that. 12 years ago me is not me today. 25-year-old Ryan is very different than 37-year-old Ryan. And it's embarrassing sometimes to like see what 25-year-old Ryan's brain was going through.
Yeah.
It can be about something about a football score or something. The way I handle it, it's a fucking game.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to be better every single day. Like, and I've made an adjustment and a change in my life to better myself every day and do better than before. So I'm not the same 25-year-old punk ass that I was, or whatever you want to say. And if Bully Ray wants to live in that time frame, that's fine. But I think the overwhelming majority of professional wrestlers and professional wrestling fans have moved on. You're going to have your purists, if you will, your fling golfers that are going to want it the way things were back when it was real. When a gimmick was, I mean, and that shit's done. We're just done with it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean it's
and be better for it.
exactly, and like if because what was it? It might have even been Taker was talking about how like guys today, or I've heard other older guys say it about how guys aren't going out and getting into trouble and going to bars or just sitting around playing video games and what like who gives a shit like and these like they're not destroying their liver, they're not destroying their long-term health by going out and
And
How many times have you heard AJ Styles helicoptering his penis at flight attendants or Kenny Omega or Adam Cole or any other streamer that may be out there? Like how this doesn't happen anymore.
yeah.
Like the plane ride from hell, they just aired the thing a couple weeks ago on that. Like that's not something to be proud of.
No.
Like you shouldn't
No.
look. I mean, unless you're Tommy Dreamer, but you shouldn't.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, and he never, I guess, said he was proud, but it's just
He also didn't.
Tommy Dreamer's a great
That's
example
what
of like an old school mentality that needs to be left in the old school.
Yeah, 100%.
Mark, you have an old school mentality, don't you?
I do. I condone this. 'Cause I'm a bully. I'm as old school as they come. I'm old school like Scotty Jeffries.
Oh
Matter
no.
of fact, I'm going over to his house next.
You should bring him with you on the podcast next week.
I'd like to.
He can sit in
He
for
might-
Matt.
Is the
I like that we
internet
titled this
address
one.
now?
I like that we titled this one "The Gang's All Back."
And poor Matt had to tag out.
He's like, screw this.
Yeah, I think he heard Scotty Jeffries might be on, so he sat out. He wanted to make sure Scotty had equal time. That was very nice of you, Matt.
Again, if you're not local, there's a local wrestler on the indie scene who goes
and
by
you
old
use the
school
word
Scotty
wrestler.
Jeffries.
Wrestler is a very loose term.
There's an old school wrestler. He is
Old
hardcore. He won the Tri-State champion. I've called many of his matches.
Scotty Jeffries, baby. He'd be here tonight, but the guy working second shift in the 7-Eleven called off. So,
but Mark, what's your take on this stuff from Busted Open today?
well, I'll tell you what. I don't listen to that Busted Open carrying on, but I saw the comments. I heard about it. It's it's a shame. It is an old school mentality. I think, boy, at this point you think it'd be long behind this, but I guess it's not. But it really should be. It's time to move on. That kind of carrying on, that bullying, and it's just not necessary. It really isn't. But I mean, you go back and you look at the old school wrestlers before there was schools for training. They tested people coming in there. You had to be tough. You got bullied terribly and taken advantage of. Your bones broken. It was horrendous from the stories you hear. But it's not like that anymore. It wasn't right back then. I dare say it's not right now.
Man, I just want unprotected headshots back. Like, come on. I want to see kids really scramble their brains on the local indie scene long before they have a shot to even make it into AEW or WWE or NWA or Impact Wrestling. I really want to see people really just fuck up their lives for the 15 minutes of fame the professional wrestling is going to provide for them. And again, I'm not trying to knock that doesn't a knock on indie wrestling, but let's do it smart.
Lou says if he subscribes to Patreon, does intern Mark move in real time? No, we got to get a lot more Patreon subscribers to get the internet upgrades over at the Hottenstein Estates. Devin says times change. We can't have people taking bad headshots or taking liberties on someone that just got into the business. We're not getting soft. We're getting smarter to be safe in the ring and out of the ring. Definitely struck a nerve with him. Yeah, it struck a nerve with me too. And it's. And
again, if you don't know Devin's an indie wrestler or an indie referee.
Yes.
Like he's sharing the ring with these guys. Like he has been in the ring with wrestlers. And he has a say in this. Like he should have a say in it. Devin's
right.
Devin's right. Oh boy, I acknowledge you, Devin.
See? Nope.
Yeah,
I was gonna sit here and I was gonna try to put dirt on his name, say he's an independent referee. He's out there. He's making all the counts with his very big dick. He's He's the only referee who will count the three standing fully straight up. It's easy. Kegels.
We had a discussion. I'm not, and in our Twitter messages, I'm not gonna name. Who
I'll do it. Hold on.
but
Get him,
like,
Tim.
he wasn't he was kind of, I don't want to.
You think in the summertime, Devin plays Gallagher and puts a watermelon in front of him and just smashes the hell out of it with his sledge-o-matic?
It's not a slicer, it's not a dicer, it's not a chopper and a hopper. It's
like he was
Yeah.
kind of defending the comments in a way. Like,
Who was it, Matt? Is that why he's not here?
No.
creative differences, as they call it.
But he brought up an example, and to me this is a pretty extreme example, but of when like Ahmed Johnson was reckless, injured Ron
Ahmed
Simmons,
Johnson. I have his picture. Hold on.
injured Ron Simmons' kidney, and he's like, what's Ron supposed to do? Is he supposed to like go run and tell on him, or is he supposed to just beat the shit out of him? And I was like, to me,
No.
you tell, like, you bring that up to the agent in charge of the match or somebody that you report to, and explain something. Like, to me, like, that's,
I mean,
right?
Jim, at your work, when somebody makes a clerical mistake, you pull them aside and beat the shit out of them, right? You don't like have a coaching moment and actually elevate people because you are successful at something. So elevate somebody else to your level so they don't make that mistake again. You just let them make the mistake and you fucking punch them right in the face.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's the thing is like, somewhere along the way, I think some people, maybe, I don't know if they get lost in fandom or what, but like, wrestling's a business. It's a place of employment. Like, it's not like, I get it. It's a sport and kayfabe and blah, blah, blah. And all of that. Like, those are all things that like aren't really a thing anymore. I mean, we know it's a show. We know it's a business. We know it's, it's a form of entertainment. So like, if somebody is screwing up to the point where, you're risking injury and stuff like that, that has to be brought up to the people who are putting the show together. That's not your job to go and just beat, like, if you beat the hell out of them, how's that other person gonna learn? Like, I just, it's such an archaic and just awful mentality. But like I said, man, like, it doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form with Bully Ray. And, like, they brought up JBL. I've known JBL to be a prick for years. Mark Henry's a bummer. And I feel like the more time, the more episodes and more seasons of Dark Side of the Ring that come out, and the more podcasts that people do, and things like that. And I'm like, obviously I love podcasts. We're podcasters. I listen to podcasts all the time.
Is that what this is?
That is what this is.
Huh.
We're
like,
live, pal.
The more and more that I find out about more and more people in this business, it gets real disappointing.
It's a shitty business. It really is.
It's
the greatest business in the world, but it's so shitty. And I feel like every business, when you get to like the underbelly of anything,
sure,
there's stank everywhere.
I mean, the NFL, the concussion lawsuits and things like that. I mean, the NHL's been dealing with some shit, over the last couple of years. Like, yeah, it's just, yeah, you're right. Any business, if you really start digging, or I wouldn't say any business, but a lot of business.
I'm pretty sure it's any business. I mean, business itself is a shitty business.
Sure. Some uglier than others, though.
I mean, we're not talking that long ago when somebody like Jackie Robinson changed professional baseball like that. Jim, we're not. I mean, how many years ago? I mean, years, obviously, but it's
right. It's
not that long ago.
You're right.
And the scope of things.
Yeah, you're 100%
You know,
right.
NFL with the Rooney Rule. I mean, that's not that old of a fucking rule. Like we're evolving and we're getting better. Hopefully,
But so
every day
so
and
far
every year,
so.
and sometimes it takes way too long,
Mhm.
and it should have happened a long time ago. But let's get better. Let's leave that archaic thought process behind. You know, and I don't know. It goes back. We talked about this I feel like a couple months ago. Like, it's okay to ask for help and to like not be perfect and not be fine. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, 100%.
And that doesn't make you soft or weak or whatever. I mean, it's such a fucking get over yourself. Toxic masculinity bullshit.
Lee says, first thing I did if I ever screwed up something on a show was apologize backstage to the person involved, especially if I felt may have upset or hurt them in any way.
Well, Lee, they should have beat the shit out of you for that. That's what I would have done. I'd have fucking pushed you right over and punched you a time or two.
Jesus.
I grab a sock full of
You
bars.
just turned
soap.
Scotty Jeffries loose on him.
But yeah, it's
What is it with you and Scotty Jeffries tonight, man?
but yeah, you're 100%.
Well, honestly,
right,
like,
Ryan.
what would you learn, Lee, if that happened, like, and you apologized and they just fucking hauled off and hit you? Like, what does that fucking do?
Yeah,
Like, what's the result
They
of
don't
that?
do nothing. There ain't nothing.
you know, and he says they probably should have. And he
Like, does this go back to like the Dr. D. David Schultz thing? Like, he stood up for the business,
right,
and he open hand. That was it. Like, he did that for the boys.
right.
Is that where this still like really all stems from?
I
Like
guess,
that
or
moment.
just that way of thinking, which is just
I do
it's
it for you,
crazy to
boys.
me.
So if somebody, Mark, said the 3 Count Thursday podcast is not their favorite podcast, you would open hand slap them and be like, "That's an open hand slap."
I tell them, you know what I do? I'd probably pay a visit to their house, and I tell them next time I come by, it won't just be your furniture I rearrange. That'll teach them.
Yeah,
Where'd my couch
I move
go?
that couch over there. That couch went over there. I'd like that end table here by the window. They weren't happy.
Well, this is a
Believe me, and they're listening to 3 Count Thursday right now. You know who you are. So you settle in and you listen.
my last thought on it, is if, and it's not just in wrestling, if it is in wrestling, but like if you're in a work environment that makes you feel like shit, look elsewhere, because it may feel like daunting to move or to change employment, but it could be a positive change that can like change your life for the 100% better, because it doesn't have to be that way. And that's where I'll leave it at that, and we need to get rid of this archaic way of thinking. I just see Mark randomly
That's
pointing.
right. Get out there. There
any
is
other
better. You tell them.
any other thoughts on this before we move on?
On to happier topics.